We are talking about the greater good.
Hey there, welcome to Skatz Chats, your destination for inspiration. Each episode, I chat with mental health professionals and everyday people just like you and me to talk about various wellness topics and the human experience. Get ready to feel inspired with another episode of... Hello everyone, welcome to Skatz Chats. I'm your host, Sarah Katz, bringing you conversations that inspire you to be your best self. Doesn't it sound lovely? It sounds lovely. Thanks again for coming to join us for another episode today. And today we're talking to Nat, a spirituality coach. Now, I found her on Instagram, right? And I had a personal coaching call with her. And it was pretty game-changing for me. So I really wanted to invite her onto the podcast to just share her knowledge and just chat. Honestly, when you hear her voice, it just sounds so calming and soothing, and she really brings a lot of awesome knowledge and information to the table. And today we talk specifically about developing a morning routine that works for you and that's truly effective. Here's the thing, what we do in the morning and how we take care of ourselves after we wake up from our sleep really affects our entire day. So in this chat, both Nat and I provide a variety of tips and suggestions to help you develop the perfect morning routine that's tailored to you. Because let's face it, I mean, one general routine doesn't work for everyone. Everyone is different. Everyone has different needs. And that's what makes the world go round, right? So before we get into this chat today, little housekeeping. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest even. You could find us if you just look up Skatz Chats on those platforms. And if you do want to support this podcast as well, we do have cool merch up for grabs. We have our really cute trucker hat and we have cute little Skatz Chat stickers as well. So if you would like to make a donation to our podcast to support the production of this podcast, then more information on that can be found at www.skatzchats.com. And if you want to support us in other ways too, you can certainly write us a review on Apple Podcasts or even leave a comment down below for this YouTube video, for those watching on YouTube, to just say one thing that you took away from this chat, because I guarantee you there's definitely going to be more than one, but we want to know what the biggest thing is that you took away from this. You know, how effective was this chat for you? How are you going to improve your life and make an effective morning routine for you based on this chat? And if you have any other suggestions for future podcast topics or want to see someone specific on this podcast too, for me to chat with, you can leave that in the comments or in your review as well. So without further ado, let's take a listen to my chat with Nat, our spirituality coach. Hope you enjoy. All right, so Nat, thank you so much for coming on Skatz Chats. I'm really excited to chat today about, developing a morning routine. And I think that it's something that a lot of people can, benefit from, because I think developing a morning routine is kind of like self-care in a way, but obviously we'll get into it. But first I want to, for you to have a chance to introduce yourself, tell a little bit more about yourself and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nat, and I am a content creator and coach, and I help women develop a healthy relationship with themselves through self-love, healing, and feminine energy. So I'm really excited to talk today because I agree, having a morning routine is so important. Like, it's literally the start of our day, so it's creating our day. So
yeah. Yes, definitely. I remember I'm pretty sure we met through our one-on-one coaching call that I had with you. I think that was back last year, September. I don't remember when exactly it was, but I remember you helped me with a particular area of opening up my heart to love and all that good stuff. So I think, I think a lot of people can benefit not only just from this, this podcast episode, but just from you and your wealth of knowledge and information. And because I really did during our call. So I thank you for that as well.
Oh, I'm so glad. I love to hear that. How are you doing with that, by the way? All good?
Good. Yeah. I mean, life is good. I'm working full time, starting this podcast back up season 2. And so this episode is basically going to be released in August. We're recording right now in June, just so that everyone has like a sneak peek of what we're doing. But yeah, it's just going to be more, conversation based this season, this time around. And I think that people hearing our own conversations or conversations that I have with other, professionals or people well versed in certain areas, they can feel inspired more so than just by me telling them what to do or how to feel. I'm bringing on people who know what they're talking about and me having a conversation with them so that my listeners can feel inspired.
Yes, I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah. And life is good for you. I hear you're moving out to San Diego soon. Is that still happening?
Yes. I will be moving out there in a couple months, actually, when your podcast comes out in August.
Fantastic. Yay.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's a huge jump for me. I'm in South Florida right now. So it's a cross-country move, but it's been a dream of mine for years. So I'm really making it happen.
That's awesome. Well, it is expensive to live here. I'm not sure about San Diego per se, but I know in LA County where I'm in, it's a little bit more, but that's exciting. I'm sure it's a one of your dreams that's kind of being fulfilled for you. So I'm really excited to hear that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get into the whole morning routine topic for today. So I think first off, I want to know generally, what does a good morning routine kind of look like and supposed to help us feel like, and why is it important that everyone has one too?
So really, I think the most important aspect of morning routines is just having intention, bringing intention into your day instead of just waking up and letting life just happen to you. Instead, you're taking some time to yourself in the morning to set the intention for the day, starting off with self-love, self-care, just giving yourself that moment to connect with yourself and bring that energy into the day instead of just letting things happen to you. There was a point in my life where I would literally wake up and head out the door to work, I would hardly even really take any time to myself. And my days would just be very just filled with reactivity, really. But now that I take the time to pour into myself first thing in the morning, I find that I'm able to carry that energy throughout my day and be more intentional with my actions.
Interesting. Yeah. So I guess a morning routine really helps you to set your mindset more of a maybe cultivate more inner peace and just, I guess, whatever mindset you want to have for the day moving forward. So I like that.
I like to think of it as you're calibrating your energy for the day, kind of you would set, the temperature on a thermostat, you're choosing what energy you want to bring into the day instead of just letting life choose it for you.
I like that. Yeah. And sometimes I feel I have established a morning routine for myself, but I feel I want to ask you a little bit later on too, but sometimes I start to just tend to wake up and then go to my desk right here because I work from home and then just open my laptop and start working. So I think, it's important to, like you said, have that recalibration or calibrate your mind to just better enjoy the day. And I think also a good morning routine, it's a way for us not only to have it's an act of self-care, but it's an act of self-love. Do you think as well?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
I also think it's okay to be gentle with yourself on the days that you don't go through your morning routine, because there are definitely days where you wake up and you're just going at it, but maybe whenever you do have the chance to check in with yourself, to bring yourself back to that intention, I think it's still effective. Just because I don't necessarily believe in routines every single day. I'm going to set this routine and do it every single day, no matter what. Especially as women, we are cyclical beings. Our bodies change every single day. So tuning in with your energy that day and then doing what your body calls for in that day, I think is best.
I see. And that makes sense that it doesn't have to be the same every day too. I think maybe if you wake up and you're called to Because what I normally like to do is I'm kind of more old fashioned. I like to read the newspaper, the physical copy, as opposed to just being on my phone, of course, because, looking at screens 24/7 is terrible. But I usually do like to, crack open my newspaper or journal or whatever. So there's different things that I think we can do, and whatever we feel called to do for that morning is what we should do.
Yes, definitely. I agree. I think it can be very overwhelming to think that you have to do like, okay, I'm going to read, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to journal every single day, no matter what. It's like a to-do list. Like I'm just marking things off. Then you start to kind of lose the flow to it and like the presence with it. So, I do have like a routine that I do every single day, but if there's a day that I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like journaling today, that's okay. I skip it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, maybe do something else and maybe you have like a shorter amount of time. You don't have the full hour or however long you want to spend on yourself during the morning. Maybe you have just a quick 20 minutes and do something for that, that period of time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what is your morning routine usually? Like, what do you like to do?
Yeah, so I will say my morning routine is always changing. It's been a while, like I've been just really perfecting it, I guess, figuring out what works for me. But recently, for like the past month, I've been having this morning routine and it's just been serving me so well. So the first thing that I do right when I wake up, I put my AirPods in and I listen to The Morning Rampage by Abraham Hicks. It's like a video on YouTube. And yeah, she's just talking for like 9 minutes, basically going on about today's going to be a great day. Today, I'm choosing my vibration, I'm choosing my emotion, and it's just really puts me in that headspace, like right when I wake up. And then I make my bed, brush my teeth, like while I'm listening to that. And then I go in, I do a morning meditation. So right now I'm doing a 25-minute Joe Dispenza morning meditation, also on YouTube, really great. And then after that, I journal and I pull a tarot card just to like pull the energy for the day.
Nice.
Yeah. And I read for a little bit as well. And then I'll go and eat breakfast, walk my dog, all that stuff. But that usually is about an hour of my day, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. I was just going to ask you because that seems like a lot to do in an hour, but maybe you're just
like an
good
hour
with your time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I feel like that's a good amount of stuff. And what I think is maybe important to transfer to our listeners is if you're starting off with a morning routine, it doesn't have to be, 5 things and take an hour. I think it might be easy for someone to start off with doing one thing for 20 to 30 minutes first. And maybe that will help them to kind of stick with their routine in a routine fashion. What am I trying to say? If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Just kind of really stick with go ahead.
Yeah, I really just like starting off with one thing and then slowly building on from there. Like when I started doing morning routines years ago, like I didn't jump right into doing 10 things and taking an hour and a half. Like I started off with, okay, I'm going to wake up like 30 minutes earlier and maybe go for a walk or maybe meditate or something like that. And just starting off slow. So that way you're not like, shocking your system really.
Yeah. Kind of like building that habit over time, I think probably helps not just for building morning routines, but for that muscle of building a routine and creating a habit and all those things.
Exactly. Because if you give yourself too much to do like at once, like most likely you won't follow through with it. And if you have evidence of you not following through with it, then you're not going to try again. Whereas if you try small, it's easier to do something that's a smaller task, and then once you do that, you start to build like that reward, for it. And then you start to feel good about it. And then you want to continue doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's true for everybody. What I want to know too is, maybe some people might not journal, or they might not be into meditation, or they may not be into whatever else. So how does one kind of tailor a morning routine that suits them? What are some other things that people can do if they're not quite sure exactly where to start, or not really into something, but maybe into something else? What would you suggest for that?
I really think it's just about finding what makes you feel your best and doing that first thing in the morning or whenever you get the chance to in the morning. So I'm not sure if you've ever noticed this, like when we wake up, we're kind of like immediately thinking like nonstop, right? Like all of your thoughts come back to you and you start to kind of remember all the problems that you had yesterday, the problems that you have tomorrow, the things that you have to do today, like it all comes rushing back to you. And that's why I think it's so important to, okay, let me bring myself back to the present moment. Let me find a way to, set my intention for the day. So whatever that is for you, whether it's meditation, whether it's going on a walk or reading a newspaper, like just finding what works best for you to just bring yourself back to that present moment, find the joy and set the intention for the day.
I like that. And maybe something that's a little bit more like a mindful task instead of just something that's mindless, something that can really help you to reflect in whatever way that looks like for you.
Yes, exactly. Like I would definitely avoid your phone, like scrolling on
Yes.
TikTok. Like that was a habit that I had to break actually last summer because I got very used to just waking up and grabbing TikTok. And then I'd be scrolling for like an hour and I'm like, okay, now my brain is just like all jumbled up. Like I can't how it feels like when you just scroll too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would definitely avoid like just grabbing your phone right away. And instead maybe doing something a little bit more mindful, like you said.
Yeah. And I think that's tough because I know we were talking about building the habit, but getting out of that habit too, to just check your notifications right when you wake up. I do that because I actually do have my like alarm to wake up on my phone. So maybe if someone else has that same way, because I have to grab the phone and turn off the alarm, right? So maybe, at least for me, and maybe other people can, use this tip too, I just thought of in the moment, is to use something else as your alarm and then just maybe put your phone in your drawer until after you finish your morning routine and setting, your mindset for the day and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, the thing also about habits is you can't really break a habit, you can only replace a habit. So if you have that habit of grabbing your phone, checking your notifications right away, like what can you do instead? So to break my habit or to replace my habit, really what I did was instead of looking through my notifications, I open up YouTube and play the morning rampage and put my headphones in. So now that new habit has replaced the old habit. So now I don't feel the need to scroll anymore because I'm listening to something that gets me into a positive mindset right away.
That's perfect. And I know some people who journal right away when they get up too. I only do that when I have like a dream that I want to write down and remember. But maybe like writing 1 or 2 pages could help someone to maybe, I guess, just heal and maybe reflect on what happened maybe yesterday and kind of say, okay, that's done. It's down on paper. And now that's set right there. And now let me move forward into a new day, fresh new mindset, all that good stuff.
Yes, I really do think journaling is so important in the morning. I actually started a routine, I guess, in the beginning of the year where I would do morning pages. Have you heard of morning pages?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3 to 4 pages of like stream of consciousness journaling, but 3 to 4 pages sounds like it was a little bit too much for me. So
it depends on how big the page is, right?
Yeah. I think it was like the full like ruler lined paper. So I was like, okay, that's a little bit too much, but I can do 1 page front and back. So that's kind of what I started in the beginning of the year. And now I kind of like, I still do it here and there, but it does really help because like I said, when we wake up, like we have those like, immediate thoughts. So to just like right away get them on paper, like it just really helps you clear your mind first thing in the morning.
I like that. Now, is that like in the form of a specific journal, or is it just called like the concept of morning pages is just you write on whatever is available?
Yeah, so the concept of morning pages is you just plain journal and a stream of consciousness journaling. So you're literally just like dumping your thoughts. And there were even times where like I didn't have anything to write. So I'd literally write, I don't know what to write.
Nope. Well, there you go. That's a good thought.
And then I would just start planning out my day or reflecting on the day before. Like you end up getting very creative with like things to write when you have so much space. And that's the point of it, is to, once you reach a certain like amount of words, you start to like enter your subconscious thoughts really. And that's what ends up kind of coming out onto paper.
Definitely. Interesting. I might even try that myself too. I guess just, like I said, I only write down dreams, but I think to write down things like that, and maybe even writing down like a to-do list of things that you maybe want to do in your free time, but maybe setting and knowing the fact that there's work, there's other commitments that you have to do. Maybe making that to-do list for later on too might help to take away some distraction that you might have in the middle of your day.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you can just like get it out of your head onto paper. Now it doesn't have to just like ruminate in your mind, and you can worry about other things.
Yeah. There's so many things that people could do. I mean, we just, I think gave people a lot of like ideas that we may not even do also, but there's definitely a lot of things that people can do. So, all of these things, when people find the thing that helps them to reflect, to get in the right mindset, what are some other tips that you have for helping people stick to this routine? I know we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what are maybe some mindset tricks, or just some maybe like physical tricks that you have to give people to kind of stick with this morning routine that they've built for themselves?
Yeah, well, going back to habits, have you heard of the habit loop?
Habit loop? No. What is that?
Yeah. So the habit loop basically states that there is for every habit, we have a cue and then a reward. No, it's a cue, then you do the habit, and then you get the reward. So let's say, for example, like you grab your phone and you start scrolling. Like your phone is the cue, the habit is the scrolling, and the reward is, okay, now I feel good because I've scrolled on TikTok,
Okay.
So really, to build habits, you want to have a strong cue and also a strong reward. So in order to build like that consistent morning routine, like what can you use as your cue to remind you to get into that morning routine? So for me, I have my journal right on my nightstand. So right away when I wake up, I see that. Or also my alarm. My alarm is kind of like my cue to open up YouTube and listen to the morning rant page. And the morning rant page is my cue to do my next habit, which is the morning meditation. So just like all of these cues like remind me every single day, like, okay, I'm going to do my morning routine. Like that's how you build that habit.
That's a great way to look at it, I think. Yeah. And I think that, that might obviously take a little bit of time to get into that habit of, building the queue and all that good stuff. But I think if someone really reminds themselves that this is good, this routine that I built for myself is good, and I want to stick with this, and having maybe the more of the willpower. And I always like to say, like, remember your why. I know that's kind of like a cliche thing, but remember the why. Why are you doing this? To better yourself, to have a clear mindset to go into every day. So I think if people remember that, that might help them a little bit too, to stick with the routine.
And just remember that this isn't something that you're doing for somebody else. This is for you. This is your time to give to yourself, because oftentimes, like, after we go through our morning routine, like we're working on things for other people, doing things for somebody else, so it's like, and then we don't really check in with ourselves maybe until the end of the day, once we're doing our night routine, if we have one, or just going straight to sleep, so it's like, this is really your time for you to focus on you. So it's like, when I think of it like that, like this is like my me time, like I love my me time. So it's like, I'm obviously going to stick with it. I love sticking to it because like it makes me feel good. And it just helps me focus on myself. So
definitely, morning routine is an act of self-care and self-love.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think we've given the people a lot of good advice today. I do want to, say also, if people want more help specifically on developing, a routine that works for them, or if they want to book a coaching call with you, where can people find you at?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Nat Belina. I'm also on TikTok and YouTube as well. But you can book a coaching call with me on my little link in bio in my Instagram.
Link in bio. Yes, it's perfect. I love that phrase. It's so like overused, but I love it though.
I know, right?
That's perfect. And she creates amazing content, little bits of wisdom while you're maybe scrolling through your Instagram feed in the morning, but you can get out of that habit. But I know, Nat, you always post a lot of good stuff that I resonate with. And, I think you're really helping a lot of people as well with your knowledge and your soul too. I think you just like resonate like a good, like positive soul. So I think that's really, it's nice for your followers to see that and pick up the wisdom from you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I love what you're doing with your podcast. I think this is something that needs to be talked about more, mental health. And I love that you're doing this. I love your podcast and just everything about it. And I'm glad that you came back to it too, because I know when we spoke last time, I know you were taking like a little break. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I think that, more conversations that people can be and feel inspired from are really what's going to help me make a change for people's lives. So I think, it's fun to do this podcast. It is work, but you know what? I see the greater reward in it. And I'm sure, you do with all the work that you put into your content and all that good stuff. So
for sure. And you know what? A really good thing to add to your morning routine is podcasts. So if any of your listeners want to add a podcast to your routine, like, here you go.
Here you go. You can listen right now in the morning. If you're listening to this episode in the morning, we bow down to you.
Your morning routine. Oh my God. Can you imagine? They're listening to a podcast episode about morning routines on their morning routine.
That's great. I mean, that's like, is that like the phrase, like killing two birds with one stone type of a thing?
Yes.
I don't know. That would be funny though, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, thank you so much, Nat. I really appreciate it again. You're welcome back here anytime. Anything else you want to chat about, you're more than welcome to come back and we could sit down and chat about it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun talking to you about all of this. And
of course. Yeah. Take care. Thanks so much.
Right.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Find out more about us at www.skatzchats.com. Special thanks to NK Arts, who designed our logo, Daddy Lakis for writing and producing our theme song, Joe Papadenitz for branding photos, and our friend Abby for social media.